archaeology is the search for fact, not truth. If it's truth you're interested in, Dr. Tyree's philosophy class is right down the hall. So forget any ideas you've got about lost cities, exotic travel, and digging up the world. We do not follow maps to buried treasure, and X never, ever marks the spot.
Never, ever, ever, ever.
Like, what a way to gaslight your own class.
The girls aren't buying it.
The girlies are not buying it, and
He's got X marked on his pants spot.
Well, I mean, have you seen the first one where she's got like "I love you" written on her her eyelashes? Like, it's crazy.
Yes, that's right. I forgot about that. Welcome to Podcast of the Rings, where we're deep in the middle of our Beyond Middle Earth series, where we're watching the other works of the Fellowship. And today we are focusing on John Rhys-Davies, who of course plays a non-PC character. You have to say it at the top. You have to say it.
You just got it. His name is Salah. Like,
he's not Egyptian. He's very much an Englishman who's very much in brown face.
It is not. Somehow it's not as bad as Kathy Bates, at least in my mind. I don't know. I guess like just Kathy Bates because it was Rob Reiner in Friends. Like I said, Rob Reiner calls in every favor to be in this goofy little movie. And then like, especially next to Gil Graham, I think his name is, the indigenous actor who's really good. Like really, really good. I think was in like a lot of, was he in Dance?
He's in a lot of stuff.
Like he's in a lot of stuff. And then you just have Kathy Bates. I was like, oh. Surprise brown face.
It was actually shocking. It actually was. I think to be like the slightest bit fair, we didn't really know John Rhys-Davies before these. So anyone watching this may just believe he's a Middle Eastern Egyptian man. You know what I mean?
And it says so much about him and his character that he shows up in Dial of Destiny, the new Indiana Jones.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, like he punches someone out and then he's like, I can come with you. And Indy's like, no, don't. It's like a nice little cameo. And no one says anything. Like, I think that I don't, it's not great. But I do think it says a lot about either John Rhys-Davies as a person or this character that he can show up in a 2023 movie and no one says anything. Everyone's like, oh, it's so good to see Salah again.
Totally. And like, that's what I'm saying. Like, we have certain blind spots as people,
for sure,
right? But at the same time, the things I can applaud about the performance before we get into this actual movie and all that, just like, this is like, just important to say up front, he's not characterizing these characters. And also we do have pretty good Middle Eastern representation in the Brotherhood that's supposed to
protect the Grail.
Yeah, so you still do seemingly have actors of color playing prominent and important and non-caricaturized roles as well in this movie. I want to ask you at the top, why The Last Crusade and not Ark of the Covenant, or the first one, the other one he's in, where it's his famous line, "The bad dates."
I just like him in this one more. He's like more cheery. I feel like he gets more to do besides bad dates in this one.
Sure, yes, that's fair.
I feel like after Bad Dates and when Marion gets kidnapped, I feel like he kind of disappears. I haven't seen it in a minute, but I know he's not in the finale. With the Covenant.
Right.
I think it. Oh yeah, it's like after they get thrown in the snake pit. I think he's gone. Like he kind of disappears from the movie. I think we could have done either of them. I think maybe that could have been our vote. I know we didn't really vote on this one. We probably should have voted like Raiders or Last Crusade, because that is honestly, that's the famous argument of like which is the best indie movie. I know there's a bunch of freaks out there that love Temple of Doom the best. Congrats, you're very different and unique. We all love you. But like,
no, shame on them.
No, shame. You should be embarrassed.
They're just trying to be contrarian.
Have you seen? Oh, go ahead. Go finish your thought.
No, please.
But like, I know you're not on the same side of Twitter I am, and I was at home dog sitting, so I had too much time on my hands to doom
This is
scroll.
a long weekend for me though too.
Yeah.
So.
But like, some guy tweeted, "Hey, I'm showing my girlfriend my favorite movie. this is a big step. And like he was
Okay.
like half joking, as anyone with half a brain cell could read.
Intimate.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And his favorite movie is Miami Vice, the Michael Mann movie. And anyone who's seen this movie, it's like the definition of pure vibes. Colin Farrell has himself, it's Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx, revitalizing the old 1980s show from Don Johnson. And it's like anyone can tell that this movie is incoherent. It is purely vibes. And Colin Farrell has come out and said, like, I don't remember filming this movie because I was, like, so deep in my addiction. And he's cleaned himself up.
Oh, my God.
Like, there's so many great behind this. Like, Jamie Foxx refused to come out of his trailer because, like, they went to, I can't remember what country they go to, if it's Cuba or not. But, like, they had, like, real problems with the gangs there. And I think, like, someone got shot, like, 3 blocks away. And Jamie Foxx was like, I'm not going back. And no one can blame him for that. And Michael Mann was like, oh, like they had to film with like a body double and he almost dropped. Like there's so much behind the scenes. Listen to the Blank Check episode about Miami Vice.
Fun.
It's so good. And if you watch that movie, don't watch it for the plot. It's not going to be Heat Part 2. It's literally just like cool shots of speedboats. Colin Farrell looking so fucking sexy with his long slick back hair. And like he's double fisting mojitos. And it's just amazing. And like the reaction to it, there's this one person on Twitter that's just like, straight men, what's wrong with them? I'm gonna do like a research study. And it's just like, what? And it's somehow turned into a thing that this guy just showed his girlfriend his favorite movie and she liked it. And it's just like, come guys, that is just film Twitter in a nutshell right there. That you could be like, hey, I really like this movie, and everyone's gonna be like, what is wrong with people? Why aren't you watching The Godfather 24/7?
What a nightmare. That's not even fun.
No, and the fact today I was at the gym and I checked, she's still tweeting about it.
Who?
The person that was like, what's wrong with straight, like the person that like started this whole thing.
Oh, because they're using their opportunity to be in the sun. On my other show, not I'm cheating on you, but we were talking about Ted. We had Seth MacFarlane on, and the same day that I posted a reel from him being our guest, he shared in his stories an argument for why comments are actually comments being on posts make people feel the need to defend their point of view as opposed to being open-minded. And granted, the argument was for why news outlets shouldn't have comments on their articles. But I was like, yeah, I posted one thing about Seth and I got 7 people going, what does this rich white guy know? And as opposed to when he's really just actually saying something very insightful. I guess like my point to your point is like, just take it in stride and like let that person be happy. I don't know.
And that's so crazy. Like if this guy would have even said like, not it's his favorite movie. That is the most subjective thing ever. Like you can be like, okay, I mean there are better movies out there, sure, but if that's your favorite, who cares? He didn't say, oh my gosh, this movie is uncategorically better than Heat. It's better than Citizen Kane. It's better than like whatever, 10-star movie you have out there. Like he didn't, he's just like, I'm going to show my partner my favorite movie and I hope they enjoy it.
And you know what? Who hasn't watched some shitty movie just in hopes of getting the DS? Because I watched MacGruber. Because that was that guy's
MacGruber is great.
That guy's favorite film. It was his favorite film. Okay,
right, we're doing a 3-hour podcast about MacGruber.
I'm just saying.
Is anyone from Middle Earth and MacGruber? Because we got to find somebody in there.
I'm sure there's in the team he amasses in the first 5 minutes and dies. One of them's got to be an extra and another. I'm just saying, like, I put up with that movie, and I was a straight white dude. Like, am I contributing to the problem? Anyway. We love John Rhys-Davies. We got the part that you have to say that it's not the best that he's taking the role from a Middle Eastern actor, but he's absolutely gosh darn charming. I have never seen this movie in totality. I knew.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
One of those TNT movies you've seen in bits?
100 my dad watched, whatever. I also knew that Spielberg purposely did the Lucas nod when River Phoenix grabs the thing on the train and does a full loop. There's a couple specific Star Wars notes that Spielberg pays homage to, especially because it's like Lucasfilms at this point too. And so much so that Alex was in the other room and he's like, "Are you watching Star Wars?" Because it has like a Star Wars.
No,
trill.
it's the boats. Like, because I noticed that it's the boats. Like when he's going through Venice, like there's like some Star Wars like TIE fighter sounds or something like that. Like the steel cables, they sound like velociraptors, and two, they sound like TIE fighters for sure. I know exactly what Alex is talking about.
Well, no, he was talking about the music when River Phoenix is fighting low rent Indy.
Really? Okay.
Yes. So there's a couple of moments, and when Indy is hanging on the tank, that I remember seeing like a video clip about it where Steven Spielberg is like, "Oh yeah, 100%. This is lifted from a Star Wars moment, and that was my homage to this being to loving Lucas's work, essentially."
John Williams, man, what
misses. Never
what
misses.
Can you even say about him? Like
another Seth
untouchable.
MacFarlane drop. My name drops here. I got to go to his Christmas party last year, and he always has a 70-piece orchestra to play behind him while he croons. This is like, he has a lot of love for music. He's also got one of the biggest libraries of unreleased TV themes. He's just like, that's kind of like his Roman Empire. Let's put it that way.
Unreleased TV themes?
He's got he could just like pull up TV themes from years ago, and here's the studio sessions for the Daffy Duck version of, like, it's insane what he's got.
Okay.
So, but he loves music so much, and all of his, even Family Guy, is always orchestrated to live. So it's very cool. So he has these guys come and perform for his Christmas party, and before Seth came on, they did a John Williams 15-minute overture. And it was, everyone in the audience was just, like, everyone's hair was standing on end, because you're just hearing E.T., Back to the Future. You're hearing, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and like you're almost crying, and it's just like so cool to see someone that's like successful like that pay homage to something that everyone universally loves.
No, it's truly insane. I remember like back when I was like doing a lot of YouTube stuff, I did like a trailer reaction for the Dial of Destiny, and I was like, I'm not a big trailer react guy. I'm not gonna be like, oh.
Right. But they're playing the theme.
But when they played the theme, I got chills. Like, this Indiana Jones theme is so good. Like, when it's by the way, I knew it. Alan Silvestri did the score for Back to the Future before anyone says anything in the comments.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I know John Williams didn't do it. I needed to look it up.
But it does have, some of the music does have some Back to the Future moments.
Oh, they're like, Alan Silvestri and John Williams are like competing for a #1 spot for a long time.
But thank you. And I'm okay with being wrong, and I'm taking it in stride.
But like, the music in this is so good, and then when it's River Phoenix and you hear like the hints of it, and this is how, like, this is all we need of an Indiana. I know Temple of Doom is like before Raiders, technically, like,
is it?
It is.
I don't think I've seen Temple of Doom, honestly.
It's fine. But like, this is the only prequel we need, like, where it's just, you get the scar, you get the whip, and then
dog.
The dog, the hat, like everything, like the snakes. It's so great, and it's done, and it's so funny because this is one of those things that if you did this nowadays, every film bro on YouTube would be like, "Oh my god, we didn't need this. Like, why? I don't need to know why he has a whip or a hat. Like, somehow this would be woke. Somehow." But like,
one white guy helping out another white guy break the glass ceiling.
But like, I love River Phoenix, like, gone way too soon. I would have loved to see his career, because he's just so good. Like,
he's good at this.
He's so good. Like, I know, what's his name? Sean Patrick Flannery. I never watched it, but I hear that he was really good in the Young Indiana Jones TV show.
Oh, yeah.
But like, I know Chris Pratt, like, back in Jurassic World, like, days, he was rumored to be taking over the mantle, and everyone really liked that. But just, it's just a snake. Calm down. It's like everyone's lost but me. Like everything about his performance, how he is getting beat up as a kid, how he's not doing great, how he's just doing it on the fly. He whips himself in the face. Everything about this opening is so perfect. And then when he, like the magic box, it's the dumbest thing ever, but it's so
How
good.
did he get out? And it's also a continuous shot. It's so good.
It's Spielberg, you mad genius, you.
That's what he literally, I feel like Steven Spielberg makes Universal Studios a destination because his movie tricks are on screen.
Go to do the backlog tour just for the War of the Worlds thing. I hadn't seen it. War of the Worlds is one of the more underappreciated Spielberg movies. I think it's slowly gaining.
I actually forgot it was him.
Yeah. And you come out of the tunnel and you see the wreckage that is like the plane and the house. Like you feel like I just watched A Quiet Place Day 1 last week. And I was like,
did you actually watch it? I didn't realize.
Good.
Okay.
I really
I was
enjoyed
curious how you knew the cat's name was Frodo.
Yeah, his name is Frodo.
Frodo.
His name is Frodo. I couldn't find the picture of me pointing to Frodo that you took, which is a great one.
It's on Twitter.
Yeah. But just, oh man, we are so lucky that all these actors have like great careers that we have covered. Gore Verbinski, Michael Bay, Rob Reiner, and now Steven Spielberg. Like,
wow, I didn't even think about that.
It's and we are covering like the best of their best, like
bangers. So again, like I said, I hadn't seen it, although like I knew that the guy was going to choose the wrong chalice. And I love the line where he's like, that's a cup for a carpenter. And like, I knew that maybe just from visuals, I knew Sean Connery was somehow, involved, but I had no idea what this movie really was about in general. Okay. This is a farce. This is a farcical movie, so much more so than the best one.
The Raiders.
Raiders.
This is the best one. This is easily the best one.
This one is joke after joke after yoke after yoke after yoke. And it is so silly. It feels like Airplane Light, doesn't it?
The only thing that doesn't work about this movie is Harrison Ford's Scottish accent when he tries to go into like the Nazi mansion. The tapestries. Like, what? And it doesn't work. Not even the butler was fooled by this. What are you doing, Indiana?
That's what I'm saying. I loved it. That's great. And he oh God. It's good. It's such a good movie.
But it is, I totally know what you mean, because it is so funny how this does follow the Star Wars thing of like, Raiders of the Lost Ark is very New Hope. Very New Hope, where you're establishing this world and this characters. It's down to earth. There's like some fantastical stuff, but it doesn't like take you out of it too much.
No.
And by the time you get to the end of the Covenant coming to life and everything, you're in it. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is real? Okay. And you're distracted by the face melting. And you're just like, oh my gosh, this is the most horrific thing I've ever seen.
Totally.
And then Temple of Doom is definitely Steven Spielberg being like, I need my Empire Strikes Back. I need this to be dark. I need this to be gritty. And I think it misses in a lot of parts, but I think it really hits in a lot of parts. It is not Empire Strikes Back. It's one of the best
Which
sequels.
Always hits, yeah.
It's one of the best sequels of all time. And then this is, like you said, it is funnier. It is goofier. It is Return of the Jedi, to where like, I don't think Steven Spielberg had his kids in mind like George Lucas did, but it is in that same kind of tone, but the thing that really works for me is the father-son stuff, where it's like, that makes it better than Return of the Jedi, of like, that father-son stuff, when he calls him Indiana, when he's holding him, price of admission.
I know.
Right there.
I know.
Like, let it, Indiana, like, he's like, Junior, Indiana, let it go. And it's just like, oh, this is why we make movies, people.
Yeah, because you're talking about quintessential. This, like, everything that they paid for is on screen, and God, they must have built that temple that's in the Crescent Valley, right?
We don't make movies like this anymore, Jessica.
Dude. Spielberg, because which we didn't do Goonies, which we had to do Goonies for you. He built the ship in the lair where they all are. It's Cyndi Lauper did a music video on the fucking set. It changes how you experience a film when you see that this is built into the slot canyons, what the actual fuck? It's insane.
It is crazy.
It's next level.
Like the locations we go to is just wild. Like I love James Mangold as a director, but I think
who's that? I don't know.
He directed the newest Dial of Destiny.
Got it. Okay.
And he directed Walk the Line. He directed Logan, Ford v Ferrari. Like James Mangold is one of the best working directors out there right now. But just like, this stuff would be filmed on the volume, and maybe that's outside of his control. Maybe that'd be budget issues. But when your budget is $320 million for Dial of Destiny, you should make it look a little better.
I think that's right. But again, we talked about that before. A lot of money was made to make him look young, I think.
But even that scene where they're obviously trying, like this scene starts on a train, they're obviously trying to get that back in their own way. Like everything is smoke. Everything is like smoky and you can't see anything, and it's at night, and it's just like this. And what was it? It was Dr. Sleep. Dr. Sleep just recast actors that looked like what's her name? The actress. Shal. What's her name? What's her name?
I don't know what you're talking about.
From The Shining. Shelley Duvall. Shelley Duvall.
Oh.
Like cast a Shelley Duvall lookalike, and it worked great. And cast a Danny lookalike, and then even
got it.
What's his name? The kid who plays Elliot in E.T. plays Jack Nicholson at the bar. And his straight on isn't great, but like his profile looks exactly like Nicholson.
What is this for?
Dr. Sleep. It's like the sequel to The Shining.
Yes, Ewan.
Yes. And just like that works. Like, and everyone bought it. It's like, I don't need the biggest example for me, at least for Disney, was like The Mandalorian season 2 when Luke Skywalker shows up. Like, there's literal photos of Sebastian Stan looking like young Mark Hamill. Like, he just looks like him. And like, no one would have been like, oh, that's not Mark Hamill. Everyone would have been like, oh, that's Luke. And not this like weird, like uncanny valley stuff to it. And it's just, it doesn't look great. And you notice like, they didn't have the technology. So all you see is Sean Connery's hands at the beginning of this. Cause like, well, we can't de-age Sean Connery. So we're just not going to show his face.
That's exactly right. 100%. So I was a little confused at the top. I didn't realize this was early indie. And I thought when the two boys are crawling and seeing the guys excavating the Cross of Coronado, I thought the heavyset kid was going, that's Indy, Indiana Jones, that's Indy. I was so confused. And then that guy is Uncanny Valley Indiana Jones.
He is. Too. We have Indiana Jones at home for sure.
he really
but he's so good.
He's perfect.
He's so good because like when Indy does the magic box and then is running out in the train, and you just like, this is where Spielberg is Spielberg, and it's just like the simplest thing for me. And I'll try not to goon over Spielberg for this whole podcast, but he is my filmmaker, like the guy I grew up with. But just like, it's like a 20-second shot where he's just like filming him, and the guy just goes from
pissed,
and he starts smiling because he's like, this little kid just beat me.
Yeah,
like, yeah, he's got the sheriff on his side, he's got the money, but he's like, in a straight up 1v1, and we'll talk about that later on our House of the Dragons podcast.
So please don't talk about it.
And a straight up, he got bamboozled. And it's such a good moment of where Spielberg's like, take your time on this like reaction of this realization, because I'm going to hold this. And I feel like maybe even like Spielberg wanted a little faster or something, but I feel like this was like the actor's choice of like, I'm going to wait. And he did it. And it's just like, I remember I was watching it and I was like, wow, they're holding on this. Cause I know what's coming, but I was like, they took their time on that. And it's just such a stupid, like nothing thing to be like, oh, that's Steven Spielberg. But I'm just like, we don't make movies like as the same way. I'm going to say this so many times with like all of our actors.
God, okay, like, boomer. Jesus.
I know, man. Like, I didn't think I was like this, but watching, this movie is just like, holy shit, dude, this is a movie. Like, this is a blockbuster, and it's just so great.
I'm 3 years old when this movie comes out, by the way.
I'm 2. Is this 89?
Yeah.
Yeah,
crazy,
so I'm 1.5. It's probably like a summer blockbuster.
Fair, totally fair.
Yeah.
Oh, but it is, that's why like it's one of the things that we're experiencing through this series is if we haven't watched it, we likely will come out the other end loving it, which I think that happened for you with North. And despite me already loving Harrison Ford, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was very fun. And the solid John Rhys-Davies stuff is fun too. And the Marcus Brody stuff, here's the thing.
I don't like Brody in this movie.
You don't?
I don't. Especially if you know, like, but go on, finish it up. I'm really curious to.
Well, I was going to say the bad guy who I cold called it in the beginning. I was like, when he said, don't trust anyone, Andy. Yeah. I mean, you just, I'm not saying I'm incredibly film literate.
You might as well have like the Imperial March music come on when he opens the door. Like I don't think it was a big surprise, but I was listening to a podcast about Bad Boys for Life. It's so funny because they called the third Bad Boys for Life. And then this one, Bad Boys Ride or Die. And even like the director's like, we didn't know we were going to make a fourth Bad Boys. Like we just called it For Life. We wish we could change it too, everybody. But like there's a guy in here that literally it's a twist, but it's not. And that's how this guy is. What's his name? Walter Donovan. Julian Glover. It's just like, yeah, we know he's evil. It's okay. Ilsa's a good twist. I did not see it. When I first saw it, when I first saw it, I was surprised. But
I mean, I called it. Also, we're like dealing. He just melted faces of Nazis. She's got a German accent or an Austrian accent. So I mean, at the same time, I'm like, maybe not. I don't know. But anyway, yes. Hard to believe that we're not going to come across a couple twists. But that guy is.
I was talking about with RRR
a little bit.
She is the Countess in RRR, the one that's like, I want that little Indian girl.
Oh no!
Yeah, she's like she's like the wife of the main bad guy of Ray Winstone, not Ray Winstone. It's Ray something.
That's all I watched was that scene too. So, all right. Well, at least she's working still. She's quite beautiful too. I mean, she's a knockout.
I think she was 21 in this movie.
Wow.
1966. Yeah, 21.
She's a knockout. So, I guess what I was going to say is that
Allison Duty.
I know. I saw the Duty in the I wouldn't cast this person with that name.
That's how hot she is. That she can get away with it being called Allison Duty.
But I was going to say Marcus is wearing an outfit too close to the bad guy that I'm confused every time I saw him on screen. I was like, is that It's not Marcus. Is it Marcus? So they just needed to change it up a little bit. I thought he was funny. Why didn't you like him?
Because in the first one, like, he's a pretty capable guy. Like, he's not Indiana Jones. No one is. But, like, in this one, he's just a bumbling idiot. It is like the one joke I love is like, oh, he knows every culture. He knows every language. He'll blend in. By now, if I'm lucky, he's already got the Grail. Does anyone speak English? Like,
it's so good. It's such a good
such a good cut. It's such a good joke. It's great. But everything else, like when he's in the tank and he's like, like, what do you do? You are in a Nazi tank right now. Can you lock it in?
Mightier.
Yes.
The pen is mightier.
There's just like one too many Marcus moments where I'm just like, come on, like
It's funny though. That's what I'm saying. It's a farce at this point.
It is, and that's why I totally agree with you. Is that like they, especially with this character, they literally turn him into like just a running joke.
It's really true. I do think Sean Connery is doing some of his best charming comedic work, and like you find out that I think there is some parts I had seen. I think I knew that they had both slept with Elsa, and
it's a weird moment, dude.
And they just don't let us forget it.
I don't know.
Where she leans in and whispers in his ear. Is that what you're talking about?
No, but just like when he's like, oh, I don't know if he came up with this. Sean Connery came up with the line of like, he talks in her sleep, of like how he knew she was a Nazi. And I'm just like, that's weird, bro. Like,
why?
You guys are like, both.
Well, they didn't do it on purpose.
Perp. You were about to say on perp. You know you were.
Was it?
You sure.
No, I will from
Jessica
now on.
inventing slang all the time.
My brain stopped working for a second.
And I mean, I can't call it that weird because I probably would get seduced by Sean Connery at any age. Like he is.
He would seduce
He's got
you.
the Riz.
He does have the Riz. And there's no way Indy knows. Although she's a bat. She's the one. She's the one who's making it weird.
Oh, by the way, chill out, thirsty ass Indy. Where he's like, oh, you're just like your dad. Oh, I got this from my dad and my eyes from my mother.
My ears.
Yeah, my ears from my mother. The rest belongs to you. You just met this woman. Like, you are still getting off the boat as you say this, meeting this woman. I understand. Elsa is gorgeous, but like, play it a little cool, Indy.
He's definitely not. There's also, I feel like
I don't like fast women.
It's very funny. It's very funny.
So good.
However, that moment, it harkens back to the Blade Runner moment where it's basically non-consensual sex.
Yeah, that's some bad. I mean, that's why Sean Young and him didn't get along. Is how hard that shove was against the wall.
Was it?
Yeah, like that.
I didn't know that.
I think it was scripted, but not that hard.
So a lot of men. And I think this is the contingency of like dudes that think Paul Atreides is the hero, think that women want to be treated this way because all she's doing up to this point is no, I don't want you, no, leave me, like she's shutting him down, and then he drags her into his room and he grabs her and forces her to kiss, and she says, I don't kiss me, who, you know what I mean? And then she wants it, she succumbs, or this is the dance they've been playing. A lot of men think that, especially, this is also not, Harrison Ford's not the first person to do this. It's also not as egregious as it is in Blade Runner.
Thing.
100%. And you go back to Cary Grant doing it to Scarlett O'Hara. This is how men grabbed women and kissed them. And so we were bought and sold this idea of forceful romance because women couldn't look like they wanted it. So the man could force it's just bad, is my point.
You're absolutely right. I'm not excusing that, and there's plenty of other Bond moments, the Cary Grant moment. You're absolutely right. This movie does it the best only because of how fast she kisses him back.
1,000%.
Like, I was watching that and I was like, she's kissing. Like, even before, like, I'd like formed my this is not great or this hasn't aged well thought, she had kissed him back because like he kisses her and she's like, don't do that, and kisses him back, and I'm just like, okay, this is how you do that. And then he's like, I don't like fast women. Like, he gets one more quip in before, they hook up. And I was like, okay, that worked. I understand, because there are a lot of other moments in movies that I'm just like, no, this isn't great. Like, no. I think it's Goldfinger, where he, like, Sean Connery himself, like, pins her down on the hay. And I was like, this isn't, like, she does not...
No,
it's not
100%. And that's the only reason I want to point it out. It's because even though it is consensual, it still reinforces this bad notion that women like have to put the fight up first, before they can have sex with the guy.
Hold on, Paul Atreides isn't the hero in Dune.
Actually, he is.
I don't think you've read the subtext of the movie.
Have you read the books? I don't know. I think I used to call him the white savior for a long time, and I guess I'm wrong about that. Anyway, moving on. It's not even. I can't even care to think about that movie right now. I guess what I'm just saying is like, let's just flag that as still not the best way to romance the stone. Do you know
Definitely
what I mean?
Not. Yes.
But it's hot at the same time, so I don't know. I'm part of the problem.
No, I get it. Like it is hot. Like, their age difference is weird. He's 25 years. Again. Oh my gosh, Jessica. He's 25 years older than her, like in real life.
How old is Sean Connery?
Well, at least like they're not kissing on screen. It's just like
it's fair,
alluded to.
A lot of insinuation.
But yeah, I will say it's not as bad as the first one with Marion when she's like, they meet at her bar and he's like, you knew what you were doing. He's like, you were 15. You knew what you were doing. Like, there's a line in that movie that a lot of people want to ignore. And I'm just like, why did you put this in the script?
Okay, Michael Bay.
Yeah.
That's gonna be my phrase.
It's a
now.
really like that's probably the thing that's aged worst about Indiana Jones, or like that line.
Wow.
But it's not as bad as that, but it's still not great.
It's just that's all. I just wanted to put it out there.
No,
That's how I feel
totally
about that.
fine to put it out there. There's nothing wrong with putting it out there.
But that being said, Elsa's fire. She's got a badunkadunk. She can get it. I'm into it.
I honestly think, and I rewatched Temple of Doom within the last few years, and the big complaint is Willie in that movie. That was I think dating.
Who's Willie?
The female lead in Temple of Doom.
Oh.
I can't think of the actress name, but I think she was
the first love interest is the best one.
Marion's the best. It's the biggest mistake of the movie to just not have Marion in the entire time. I've got it right here. It's Kate Capshaw.
I want to look at her.
And like I think every single like female lead keeps up with Harrison Ford in every movie.
Sure.
I know like the big complaint is Willie, but you know what? Willie is a debutante. She's a first-class woman. She didn't ask to get put on a plane into this adventure and parachute out on a fucking raft onto the mountains and like, no, stop it. Like, you would also be screaming your head off too. Like,
sure.
So I think Elsa's great in this movie. I think Willie is good, and
She
but
drops
Marion's
in.
the best.
Elsa drops in. She's in petroleum sewer water with no questions asked.
With them, like, those are real rats. Those are real rats.
I do need to talk about it because I'm really upset about a couple things that happened. I'm really sad about Indy like roping the guy off the horse and then that horse falling. It's very upsetting to me. And then they're literally stepping on rats.
Yep.
You can't tell me rats didn't die or drown in that experience. You can't tell me that didn't happen. And
It for sure happened.
I don't know how to feel about that.
And it's so strange. Like, maybe it didn't, because I remember I was listening to a podcast about Shawshank Redemption, and Shawshank Redemption is like 3 or 4 years after this movie. So it's not that long. And there's a scene where the first day Andy Dufresne walks in and there's a worm in his food. And he's like, oh, this is not great. And one guy is like, oh, can I have that? And he's got a little baby bird in his pocket, and he gives the worm to the baby bird. And like, animal control would not let that happen. They had to build like a fake baby bird head to put the worm in, because they would not let a bird eat a worm on screen. So like,
really?
I don't know if any animals were hurt in this scene, because maybe a big thing happened in those few years in between this movie and Shawshank. Because Shawshank is what, 93, 94? But animal control is out there. Like, I know they're not called animal control. There's like a name for them, but they're just
but there's at one point, it looks like Indiana's literally stepping on a rat. Like he's about to squish one, like in one of the scenes. So maybe there's a different valuation of rats' lives? You know what I mean?
I have to, like, just in the pecking order, rats are above, because rats have been proven to be pretty smart, pretty resourceful animals.
Hello, I understand them from the pest element and this like sickness element if they're out in the street. I get that, but like,
they're just little guys.
I know, and they're sweeties, and they have daddies and mommies. Just
have you
like
seen
us.
like a rat drag a pigeon into the sewer though? It's pretty metal, dude.
I have not, and I don't want to see it.
I will send you that video.
Please don't. And I remember talking to Alex, because I was in the show Rat Queens, and then I was like, God, how cool would the name Rat King be? And then you learn what a Rat King is, and you never want to go back from that. Have you ever heard what a Rat King is?
No, I just know it from the Nutcracker.
When they're in broods like that, as they are in this movie, like just on top of each other, they happen in packs, their tails get tied together. And so they can't move in one direction. So they are pulled, like they pull each other apart. Basically, they become one homogenous rat king.
Oh my God, that
with
sounds
their
amazing.
Tails.
You gotta play, what's it called? It's that medieval game I was playing. Hold on. Oh, a Plague Tale. A Plague Tale.
No.
It's like in the Renaissance
Are you
era.
the rat?
No, you're like a girl who's like protecting her brother who has like rat powers, and it's just like hordes of like these like black rats that like will devour anybody that's not, but like they can't go in the light. And it's such a great game, Jessica.
Is it grotesque?
There's some pretty gnarly deaths in there, but it's...
To be fair, this scene was made even worse because I had just gotten to the Harrenhal scene in Game of Thrones where they light the bucket on fire so that the rat chews into the stomach. And I don't know if this is the first time I've seen this, but I knew what was happening, and that's just So this is a lot. By the time the rats were burning and that they were trying to get into the tomb, I wanted to die. This was awful.
It's somehow worse than like the spider scene in Raiders, because like those are real tarantulas like that are draped all over Indy and Alfred Molina at the beginning of that movie. Like I know Alfred Molina was coming up, so like I'm sure he agreed to a lot, but like I don't know. I mean, there's even like a clip recently of Sydney Sweeney with like a huntsman spider biting her for that rom-com she was in. And I'm like, I don't know if I could do it, man.
Why would she let it bite her?
I think it's like there's like a scene in the movie where she has to like hold it. And so like it like bit her and she was like, get it off, get it. And like 1,000 self-control points for not just boom. Because that's what I would have done. I'm sorry. Have you seen a huntsman spider? Everyone that's listening or watching, Google huntsman spider. And I know they're not venomous. I don't care. They're large Australian spiders that are terrifying to look at. And I know if we have any Australian listeners, they're like, houseflies to them. Congrats. I don't live in, Mesopotamia, like olden dinosaur times.
We just don't have these kind of things.
No. So I don't know if I could do that. Like that would be my limit. Is like the creature stuff. Like I just saw a thing of Tony Todd for Candyman. Those bees in his mouth are real, and he's like, I will do this if every time a bee stings me,
right?
$1,000 per bee sting, and he got 22 bee stings.
And you know what happens when you get a bee sting too? You become less resistant to the You can actually die the more bee stings you get, by the way. Early on in the Fear Factor world,
I forgot about Fear Factor.
When they would get to the bug eating element or the bile drinking, I realized that that's where I would call it. I don't need $1 million that bad. Take
Joe Rogan's podcast away and just put him back on Fear Factor. That's where he shines.
That's where he belongs, man. Anyway, there's a couple of questionable animal situations. Although I do love thinking about all the animal stuff in this film, that all of Indy's abilities came from a circus. Basically, it's kind of great. The scene where he's finally walking through, he has to do the three, his dad's dying and he has to walk the precipice or, leap of faith or whatever. Those are really good moments. And
those are so good. And like the way the gunshot is filmed where he's like, you're not going to kill me, is like, no, you're right. And he shoots Sean Connery and you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
The way the camera moves behind him to where it's like, it's just focusing on Indy, like trying to cradle his dad. And it's so good. Like, I love this movie. It is like the penitent man kneeling. By the way, I always thought that was a bullshit trap because he kneels and then he has to roll. Like
it's a bullshit trap.
That's totally a bullshit trap. That if you kneel, you dodge the decapitating one, but there's a one that comes out at your feet? Like, what? Jesus wants me to do a tuck and roll here? What's going on?
Totally.
What's going on?
Yeah.
I'm not Simone Biles. Like, come on now.
I that he knew that he had to do it. Like, I definitely called that in that, or I clocked that in that moment. I'm like, kneel, sure. But push forward to like cartwheel before God.
Yeah, right? No. Double back hamstring before God.
No, it was fucked up. I'm with you. And then, where he's like, but the
Could you do the leap of faith? I don't think I could.
You know what, Ben? I don't know. I think what
if someone's dying, you have to. But it's just like, that's such to this day, I still like, I'm like, would the light and refraction and like however they do that, would that really make that bridge blend in like that? And I'm going with the movie, but like I don't know if I could just step out into nothingness, and I don't know if your body would let you do that, honestly.
Listen, I've been on the top of not El Capitan, but yeah, El Capitan.
Okay.
El Capitan's on the other side of Half Dome. Half Dome, you have to like buy tickets to go now, and
No thanks.
you're right, and you actually are literally walking on. You're holding onto a rope while walking a railing, and it's too much. El Capitan is actually is still an amazing cliff face, but it at least has flat plateau, right?
Yeah.
So you can just get to that. I have never been more sick to my stomach, and also had those intrusive thoughts of like, I'm going to fall off now. This is what happens. You die now.
Did you ever watch Free Solo?
I have accidentally claimed that I had. I have not. No.
I remember
that's El Capitan, or is it Half Dome? Which one is it?
That's Half Dome.
Yeah,
it's Half Dome. And like after it won its Oscar for like I think best documentary or something like that, it won an Oscar. It went back into theaters and I watched it, and I'm so sad I missed it in IMAX because oh my god, you can watch clips of it on YouTube, I'm sure, but like this man is, if you guys don't know, free soloing is climbing without gear. You just have your chalk and your little fingies. That's it. And this guy's name is Alex Honnold, and he free solos Half Dome. And it's just like flat face.
Yep.
And it is the most insane thing. And I think in the movie, 2 of his climbing friends die.
Yep.
Like,
why? Oh, we did. You and I talked about this before.
Yeah.
You were said that other dudes doing similar things at other rock cliffs.
Yeah, they're all free solo climbers. And
correct.
If you fall, that's just it. Like, there's nothing. And so, like, it's just honestly the craziest thing to do that. And I remember even in the movie, they like point out certain parts that are like really difficult and like, oh, how is he gonna grapple here, do this, and it as like the the crescendo with his final climb at the end of the movie, they'll like skip ahead of like, oh, he got to this part. I'm like, he's still free soloing. I know this is quote unquote easy part. He's still on a cliff face by his fingertips and toes. Like, it is the most insane thing.
And it's like, maybe that would have been an easy cliff face if that's what he decided to do today. But he's been doing this for days.
Yeah. And like you see him fall, like he's practicing with ropes, and like you see him fall with the rope, and you're like, oh my, I'm going to watch a documentary where this guy dies. Like, it's, I don't know how they're not going to show it, or, if they're going to cut away at the last moment, but like, it is it's a exhilarating watch. I'm sure you could rent it, or it's somewhere.
I would watch it. I would watch it. We also, Orlando Bloom is doing The Big Adventure, like something like that. That's like his new show, is where he's basically going to do cool things around the globe. So we should watch that too. Here's what I was going to answer. Here's how I would do the leap of faith. I know time is of the essence, but I would be rubbing my hand up and down this, putting my hand out. I'd lay down
the Army
flat.
Call of Faith.
I swear to God, that's how I would end up doing it. Because also, by the way, when he steps out and he has no idea what the goal is, by the way, I would jump. It literally says leap. It says leap. I would have jumped. He puts his foot out and he catches ground. It's still a narrow passageway, so he could have fallen off because he got disturbed, right? Which I'll hold this thought until I finish. What I would have done is got to the the bottom of this my little nook here and reached out, and I would have found out there was a ledge, and I would have hugged the fucking thing and belly crawled 100%. I just saw a great tweet about how perception is very important with regards to difficulty. And Super Mario Brothers was the best example of this. Because in the first level, or maybe first world, you jump on these pillars of blocks. And it's, there's still like the canyon that you could die down in between. But like, you just see these long stacked up blocks and you jump as you jump upward, whatever. Yeah. And then by the time you get to the 7th world, it's the same jump, but there's no blocks underneath it. And we are convinced it's more difficult because there are no blocks there.
That's so funny. I love that.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Now, that being said, if you miss the jump, you can potentially hit the blocks on the way down and go backward. You
Yeah.
might be able to save it. So there is actual increased difficulty, but the perception alone is difficult and makes you more hesitant to act, interestingly enough. So yeah, I don't have indie balls. I'd like to think I could do some of this stuff. In reality, I could probably do a 10th of it.
Yeah, I give myself a 10th as well. Honestly, like, I have enough problems figuring out the puzzles, like, in video games and stuff like that, let alone, like, going to Venice and, like, a church and smashing marble to go to the next clue or whatever it is.
Oh, this is a great escape room experience, though.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And, like, this movie, like, we talked about, like, how much all these movies they just go. And that's how like, these are all good movies, is that, like, this movie's also over 2 hours. How long is this movie? It's 2 hours, 7 minutes. So, like, this is a perfect amount where it's just, like,
Yeah.
it doesn't overstay its welcome. There's no...
It felt a little long to me. I had to, like, watch it in parts.
Oh, my God. You can't say that Armageddon at 2 hours and 35 minutes with the animal crackers and all that shit is like, oh, no, this movie cooks.
That's
But,
the
like,
only part I would cut, then.
lean fucking... perfect, no fat on the bone filet steak of a movie that is The Last Crusade.
I can fly a plane. Can I land it? No.
Yeah.
Hold
no
on.
ticket. Like, just so good.
The scene where he shoots out the tail, the rudder, when Sean Connery shoots out the rudder and goes, "I'm sorry, they got us." It's so fucking good. It's a perfect line read. It's a perfect line read. And there's so much they don't talk, right? I think that's the crux of this whole film. And you're totally right. What really brings this movie home ultimately is the relationship.
Yeah.
And they don't talk. They don't know what to say to each other. And there's so many times where Sean Connery's look to Harrison Ford when he's like proud and like he's looking at him like a dog. Right? He's like,
Or
do you
like
love me?
a son.
Do you love me, Daddy? You love me?
A
Come
dog?
on. Like Indiana, the dog.
That's so, like, or like a
Productive.
son.
I know.
Yes!
But
like,
he's an adult. This is nearly a 50-year-old man at this point who's looking at him going, "What do you think, Daddy?" So I'm just saying, there's a little bit of a dog illusion there.
there's not a dog illusion in any sense of the word. I don't think I've ever been more offended by an opinion in my fucking life.
I'm
The
not
entire
wrong
crux
here.
of this story is Indiana getting the approval of his father that he never got as a child.
He keeps on getting beat.
There's
by
no therapy in the fucking 1920s, Jessica. This man has so many unresolved daddy issues.
He comes back for his approval again and again like a beat dog. You tell me I'm wrong.
You're wrong. You can't say "tell me I'm wrong." You are categorically, objectively wrong in this.
Okay, fine. Okay, I'm just saying. There's the way he looks at him. It's kind of like a dog going, "What do you think?" And Sean Connery beats
It's
him
okay.
down.
You don't get it. I'm not saying you should get it because, like,
Yeah, I was loved by my father. Okay, and
yeah, so was I. But I understand getting a father's approval. Like, I'm 36. If I got a well-paying job, the first thing I would do is call my dad for his approval and be like, "Look at what I did." That's what men do.
Are you okay? Are you okay?
No, are men okay? No, we're not okay. We are constantly looking for the approval of our fathers.
Stop watching Miami Vice, men.
Never.
All right, let's get to the other side of this where we recast the characters, compare to our favorite Lord of the Rings, and Jessica gets her ass handed to her.
Oh my God, I'm so upset by that dog thing. I will not ever get over it.
See you on the other side.
Are you ready for the questions, Jessica?
I'm so ready for the questions. Have you forgiven me?
Never.
Okay, just wanted to check.
This is a serious fracture.
I understand.
What stands out as the best moment for this actor?
He had a funny line.
It was, for me, and this is why it almost pisses me off about Brody, where he's like, "Oh, look at this paper, run. Oh yeah, like, I got it right here, like, run." Like, I love that part. Like, that is John Rhys-Davies magic right there. And then
He's
just like
run.
yeah, and they just punch it. By the way, there's so many great Nazi punches in this movie.
Yes,
that, like,
yes.
we don't get enough Nazi punches nowadays. And even in the new one, like, the sound effect of the punches, the fact that Indy gets his ass kicked all over this movie, just keeps coming back. Meanwhile, now we have The Rock and Vin Diesel who have like contract negotiations of how many times they can get punched, and they have.
Are you serious?
Oh, you didn't see that? Like one of the best. Honestly, it's a great fight. Go watch the Fast Five, Rock versus Vin Diesel on YouTube, and it's a great fight in a bubble. But then when you see what their contract is. Vin Diesel gets thrown through a window, then The Rock gets thrown through a window, then The Rock takes an elbow, and then Vin Diesel has to,
I hate this.
It's so crazy, like that they had to have the same amount of punches thrown on each other.
This is actually embarrassing. They should be embarrassed that's
truly.
I was actually making my own sound effects for the punches because at a certain point it's like just like psh, psh,
yeah,
psh. It's Three Stooges, man.
It's so great. I love it so much. But yeah, that's probably my favorite moment for me is the run part.
Yeah, I would agree that like that's just where he gets to shine, and then he accidentally puts him on the fucking truck with the hidden Nazi symbol on there. I feel like he did something really, really funny when they were in the cave, and I don't remember what it was, but just he's delightful in this, and he gets good lines. And again, so whenever he's on screen, he's doing his job and he's killing it.
Yes, he's so good.
Yeah.
Who in The Fellowship would you recast for this actor?
I mean, is there an actual actor of color that we could put in this role?
Not in Lord of the Rings.
No. Jesus Christ. So if we had to do brown face again, who could play Sala?
I don't know. That's a tough one.
This is actually really tough, genuinely. Dominic Moynihan could probably.
I was thinking one of those two, either Billy or Dom.
Well, I think Dom has the better. Like, I can see him fight and do this, and Billy Boyd's a little more like, I don't know, kind of gonna screw things up.
Billy, yeah, we're gonna get to the recasting, and I've definitely got ideas.
Okay, great. I think I'm gonna rely on you heavily for this part of the podcast. But yeah, it's hard. This is really hard to recast.
It is. It's gonna be a tough recast for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Does Peter Jackson directing make this movie better?
No, but
it's so unfair. I think we'll get I don't think we've gotten a yes yet.
Yes, we did.
For North or for Pirates?
For Encino Man. Or no,
that's right. Encino.
We got something. It was a hard yes, easy yes. I think for Encino Man, he would make it better.
Okay, I forgot about Encino Man.
No, it's a good question because there's a lot. Like
it's just tough. Like Michael Bay in his prime, Steven Spielberg in his prime, Gore Verbinski in his prime, Rod Reiner in his prime. It's just like there's like a murderous row of directors right now.
Fair, but I think I could see him like slaying Encino Man, making it a little dark, you know.
Oh, he would have cried. I just forgot about Encino Man because like I'm still upset about Rudy. But that's definitely the right answer.
He doesn't make this better.
He still makes it good. I don't think any of the movies that we said it's better. These are all really, really good movies where I think Peter Jackson would also have directed really, really good movies, but like he doesn't make it better.
I don't think he does Armageddon better or as good. I just don't. But I do think
it's a totally different movie.
It is. I will say though, if Peter Jackson was told you're going to do 3 Indiana Jones films though, he'd make a really rich world.
He would. Absolutely. He would make really good Indiana Jones films.
I think so. Unfortunately, we'd get a lot of CGI. I think that's why it wouldn't be as good. Because you're like, you know what I mean? Like, he really does smartly rely on the tools that his digital age offers him. But I think you would see him make this real fun. I think
so too. I think so too. All right, next question. Could the main characters of this movie deliver the ring to Mount Doom? Yes, I think Indy would. I think Indy would probably put it in a museum because he's a colonizer, but it belongs in a museum. No, it doesn't, Indy. It belongs in its home country.
Shouldn't you think about that? Yeah, and somehow Elsa's the bad guy, right?
Yeah, right. I love the, like, you know, at the beginning where he's like stealing the idol from, you know, with the like the rock and everything. It's like, this should tell you This probably shouldn't go anywhere, Indiana Jones. I don't know, just saying.
Jeez, I fucking love that. Yeah, like it should be there. That's where it's supposed to be.
But I also love that in 1989 we were getting Indiana Jones's old jokes, and then 40 years later we're still making Indiana Jones movies. It's like, this belongs in a museum. So do you. And it's like okay, like from then on we're still doing it. I love it.
Roasted. Well, so I think you do need Sean Connery though in this film to be the Sam, because he was tempted. He was very Frodo. He went for the chalice.
And that's the thing, is that like you need a Sam. Like, we're gonna recast it, but like, I think it'd be more difficult. I think he'd easily get the ring. I think he'd easily get to Mount Doom. I think they'd easily get to Mount Doom. I don't know if he'd throw it in the fire without his father's influence.
And that's what's fascinating. That's what's really lovely about this movie too, is like who lived for the chalice more than Sean Connery's character, and was more and cared more about his son at the end. And so it's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. You're right. It's not a dog relationship. I'm just saying he looked up at his dad like a dog. He looked at him with puppy eyes. Let me rephrase it completely. He did. He's like, yeah, Dad? He had puppy eyes looking at his fucking father. Tell me I'm wrong. You're did it.
Wrong.
Okay. Next question. These are great questions, Ben. Thank you for putting this effort in.
What are some other honorable mentions for this actor? And this one was tough because like John Rhys-Davies has like 300 credits, but I don't know how many of them are like, there's a Bond movie. I think it's The Living Daylights is out there. That was going to be like one of our voting options. Obviously, Raiders of the Lost Ark, but like he's got a lot of them are like TV movies, TV series and stuff like that. But he's a worker. Like, it's almost like Samuel L. Jackson, where I think Samuel L. Jackson has like more starring stuff, but just like, I think it's like Samuel L. Jackson is coming like, if you give me $1 million, I'll be in your Redbox movie. Like, I didn't get famous till I was 50, so I'm going to use the next 50 years of my life to make everything.
Why wouldn't you? I mean, God, if I get to be on stage and on set and the script isn't that bad, I mean, depends. I'll go on stage and I'll go on set. We did get advised by Arsenal Roy 2K, aka Jetsy, who is at our 3 Rings for Elves tier. So he also gets a shout out just because he's that wonderful of a Patreon contributor, to check out some specific episodes of Sleeper. And so we may do that as its own series in the future, because apparently John Rhys-Davies is wonderful in that. And
okay, we missed one because I'm looking at his IMDb. And the same year, 2001, that A Fellowship of the Ring came out, John Rhys-Davies was in Never Say Never Mind, the Swedish Bikini Team.
How could you make such a rash decision, Ben?
Like,
hold on. Should we go backward and remind people that once we get to 15 paid Patreon subscribers, we're going to watch the Lord of the G-Strings.
We might have to add this in there. We might have to find this movie.
That's what I'm saying. So we're
you can. There's. Oh, okay. I was gonna say there's 4 of them. Never Say Never Mind.
What is he doing in these?
I don't know. His name is Hakeem.
Oh no. Why is he playing all these Middle Eastern characters?
I don't know. The team finds themselves in London at Buckingham Palace receiving British orders of chivalry. But first they must locate and destroy a copy of the infamous Los Alamos hard drive. Oh, it's 2001. Everything was a hard drive.
It's in the computer.
It's in the computer. The other team members think that their next stop will be a leisurely yacht cruise and an appearance of the International Bikini Team Federation open where they will be judging the contest. Little do they know that intrigue, adventure, portable nuclear devices, a mutant yeast strain, and danger in high places awaits. I've never needed to see a movie more.
A mutant yeast strain?
I don't know. I'm just reading the synopsis.
Yeast.
I know.
Infection. Yikes on bikes. This is upsetting, but we'll have to watch it if we get. I think at 10 we were going to do 10 paid Patreon subscribers, which we're getting closer. We're going to do the Lord of the G-Strings rewatch exclusively for Patreon. At $15 we were going to read crazy script of The Hobbit. Lord of the Rings that was never made.
Oh yeah. Where they like make out in blood and stuff.
Yes, and yeah, Boromir and Aragorn kiss in Arwen's blood. It's crazy shit. And then at 20, we'll watch this and review it.
And then at 30, we'll do cocaine and then reread the script and see how good it is.
Hey, cannot comment. So what's the next question, bro?
All right, next question is recasting. So let's recast.
Okay, tough.
Who is Indiana Jones?
No, Indy stays. Oh,
no,
God. No. Oh, God. We haven't done one where he's not the lead. It has to be Frodo. No, it's Aragorn. I'm sorry. Aragorn. I don't know what I was thinking. Good night. I was thinking Aragorn doesn't take the ring. Good night.
Oh, man.
Good night. I gotta go. I
gotta go.
Shit.
Swinging over that. But yes, it is absolutely Viggo Mortensen. For
absolutely.
Sure.
Yes, I think that's right. So then who's Sean Connery? Is that Ian?
Is it Ian or is it Christopher Lee?
Whoa. No, I think Christopher Lee is the bad guy who wants.
I think Christopher Lee is either. Yeah, I think he's Walter Donovan.
Yeah. I think that's who Christopher Lee is.
I like that. Ian McKellen.
Let's tentatively put him as Sean Connery.
I like it.
You know, obsessed, but can be giddy, but kind of funny and kind of salty. You know, I can see that.
So who else do we have? Who's Elsa? Is it Liv Tyler?
No, I think it's Kate.
Well, it's so funny because Cate Blanchett is in Crystal Skull as like a Russian agent. So I like that though.
Oh, that's even better.
She's got that 1940s look to her too. Like
totally. And I could see her play this role, and yes, 100. So it is Cate Blanchett, I think, for sure.
Because like Cate Blanchett stepping off a boat, blonde-haired and blue-eyed, would also have that same effect on Indiana Jones of like, my eyes are my father's, my ears I got from my mother, the rest is yours.
I'm gonna take my ding dong.
Yeah, I don't like fast women. Marcus Brody.
Marcus Brody is. This is tough.
See, that's the thing is Walter Donovan Sean Bean, and then Brody, like, is Walter Donovan Sean Bean, and then Ian McKellen is Brody, and Christopher Lee is Sean Connery.
Okay, hold on. Let me do something, because I was thinking, wait, who did you say is Sean Bean?
Walter Donovan, the bad guy.
I don't think so. I think he is. We have Harrison Ford at home.
Oh, okay, that's good. I like that.
You know what I mean?
Very, very good. Great call, Jessica. You're back.
Fuck. I earned my paycheck one way or another.
Earn that Patreon money right there.
Jesus Christ. Elijah then is River Phoenix.
I was gonna put Orlando Bloom as River Phoenix.
He's just a little too old, don't you think?
Think so? I mean, aren't Elijah and Orlando kind of the same age? Maybe like three. Maybe. I think he's like 21 and Elijah's 18.
Maybe. I guess I just buy Frodo as a younger Viggo more. But
that's fair. Honestly, that's fair.
But we can hold off on that too.
Yeah.
Although you definitely do cast Sean Astin as his buddy.
Indy.
Yeah, that guy.
Like, we get it. He's Indiana Jones movie. Okay.
I was so confused. I really was. But I think that's Sean Astin.
For sure.
Christopher Lee, I think, is either the German guy or is Walter Donovan. But I'm trying to think. Oh no, Hugo Weaving is Walter Donovan.
Oh, I like that. Hugo Weaving is Walter Donovan.
And Christopher
Lee is the tank Nazi.
Nazi, we didn't talk about that. When they throw him off the cliff and they have the little dummy of him, it's so good.
It's so, like, that's how you introduce, like, just like a intermediate bad guy. You know, like when Sean Connery comes on the tank and he just starts slapping him with his glove. And he's like, where is he? Where is he? Slap. Where is he? Slap. And then he grabs it. He's like, I know goose stepping fools like you. Like, it's
and he's been the bad guy. He's been the middling bad guy. But like, he's just he's just written that way. Christopher Lee would bring a lot more depth to that role. I couldn't help
truly terrifying.
I couldn't help but superimposing Inglourious Bastards. What's his name? That guy?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Christoph Waltz.
Christoph Waltz. I couldn't help but superimpose Christoph Waltz into that role. But
Christoph Waltz is probably like the nicest guy in Hollywood because he got famous by playing the most evil Nazi in the history of film.
He has to be. I keep on getting so whoever I know, a couple people know him, so I keep on getting suggested to add him on Facebook. And he seems like a nice guy.
I'm sure he is.
Yeah,
I'm sure he is. Like
really
that character is so terrifying.
No,
though.
he plays bad guys really well. But I think Christopher Lee as the middling Nazi it works for me there.
I like that.
But do we have a Marcus Brody? Did we?
Is that so? Ian McKellen's the dad,
Right.
Christopher Lee's the Nazi bad guy. Is Bernard Hill, freaking King Theoden? Is that Marcus Brody?
Ooh.
I was thinking, I think Karl Urban is the Grail Knight.
Whoa. No, you don't think...
You think Theoden is the Grail Knight?
Yeah.
Okay, I like Theoden as the Grail Knight.
There's a lot of honor in that guy. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that poor guy. I felt so sad for him. He just like,
I know.
Please take it over for me. And now he's locked in there forever. Also, so just to be clear, are they still immortal? Is Indy and Sean immortal?
You only are immortal if you are constantly drinking the water behind the seal. So like it.
I didn't understand. Okay.
Yeah.
But there is long life though now, right?
I think it can heal stuff. So maybe like they got extended a few years.
Got it.
But I don't think, Indy's not immortal or anything like that unless he takes the place of the night. It's like it reminds me of like Harry Potter. I feel like that's probably where J.K. Rowling stole it from. Is the Sorcerer's Stone, where like it gives you immortality. It doesn't give you eternal youth. It gives you immortality, and you have to constantly be drinking the elixir.
Got it. Okay, understood. That makes sense. I'm thinking Billy Boyd or something for Marcus, or no, yeah, Billy Boyd for Marcus. Even though he's younger, I think he's dawdling like that.
Yeah, I like it.
What I mean?
I like it for sure.
Okay.
Who are we missing? Are we missing anybody? Orlando Bloom. You got Frodo. You got Elijah Wood as young Indy. Do you want to make Orlando Bloom Kazim, the guardian of the Grail?
Sure. Yeah, he would act the heck out of that, right?
That's so good. Like it's such a talk about an actor using a small part of like I'm ready to die. Are you?
Are you?
Like, it takes a lot to show down Indiana, like make Indiana Jones blink like that, and he did it. It's a great moment for him to shine, and I'm glad like that the director and the writer let that character do that because he's like fighting for a purpose. Because like this is again, I'm not trying. I love Indiana Jones. I'm not trying to look at it with 2024 eyes, but in this moment, Indiana Jones is a big colonizer where he's just like, we're trying to get the Grail. He's like, stop. You are doing something outside of your purview that you do not understand. Stop looking for this thing. You don't get what you're doing.
That's so true.
And it's a great moment. It's a great moment of like, my soul is at ease, is yours.
He gets multiple good moments too when they get let him off at the jetty. I mean, he's in the one of the scarier tense moments where that reminded me of a band. Did you ever play Banjo-Kazooie on Nintendo? I
feel like I have, but not enough to remember it.
There's a ship propeller moment too that was reminding me of it. It's dangerous. This guy, it's good. I'm with you. It's
what
well
a great
acted.
set piece too, though. That's like I know it's not a real boat engine, but like they built a boat engine to do that and to tear the boat up right next to the actors. Like it's we don't make movies like this anymore, Jessica. Steven fucking Spielberg.
Sir. Okay.
That's right.
But you're totally right. You're right. Annoying, but right. I think Orlando could do that. Although listen, Orlando and Elijah are interchangeable.
I think they switch.
Okay.
Because I want to see crazy ass Elijah Wood just give like Viggo Mortensen, especially his eyes. You got to use the eyes in that moment. Those Elijah Wood eyes of like, my soul is at ease, is yours.
Yeah,
like,
you're right.
and that's the thing, like he lets go of his hands. He's like, "You're holding me here. I'm not holding you." I'm like,
wow.
Movie making.
A good game of chicken. Very good. All right, I think I can live with that.
I think we did it all. I think is that
Where did we put Dominic?
Dominic, oh, we didn't. Dominic is the his name is Panama Hat on IMDb. The like the guy that's like it belongs in a museum. So do you. And then like 5 seconds later, he explodes on the ship.
Yes, very good. I think that's fine. I think we did it. Because I also love the idea of Sean Bean like giving Orlando Bloom the hat. It's like, you didn't win today, kid. Doesn't mean you have to like it. Such a good I would have followed you to the end, my brother.
And the fact that like you think of it in the terms of Lord of the Rings, Sean Bean doing that for young Viggo Mortensen in the same way that basically Boromir sets Aragorn on the path to become the king.
You can't
in that moment. You can't script these things, guys. This is why we're the pros here.
Because we're the pros. Give us your money. Give us
your money.
Show us your appreciation, much like Jesse Glaspie, who I can never say his last name correctly, at the $10 tier or
Forgive
at the $5
Jessica
tier.
For that literal dog take that she had.
Listen,
no,
you guys
stop it.
You guys are trapped in here with me. I'm not trapped in here with you.
No, it's just me. It's just me.
They choose to listen.
I'm the only one that can't push pause on this.
You can always leave. But you know what? I'm not too proud that I can't admit that sometimes I have some biffs. We are on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/podcast of the rings. Choose how you want to support us, whether it's getting this podcast a little early or getting exclusive access to our House of the Dragons podcast, which is just... we're on the journey.
Ooh, we are about to record this next episode that just dropped on Sunday, July 7th, and your boys got some thoughts. I almost commandeered the Podcast of the Rings Twitter and started clapping back at people, but I resisted.
Because I don't want to be part of the spoiler world too. I didn't want to.
I know.
You know what I mean? I went to Twitter immediately though too, and then I had to be careful that I didn't got. You know, you gotta, it's so tough because even like I watched the heavy spoilers video and like, luckily he's a very good YouTuber and he's like, okay, book spoilers time of like the differences and what's to come. And I'm like, okay, I'm done with this video. There's your thumbs up. But a lot of people don't do that and they're very, very rude. So as my friend's podcast says, like the night is dark and full of spoilers. Oh, very good. I love that. And if our friends are just listening to us or they're watching us on YouTube, what should they be doing, Ben?
They should be giving us a thumbs up on YouTube. Maybe leave a comment, do your own casting for Indiana Jones. Cause like this was a controversial casting.
Tell me I'm dog water.
If you have seen, Never Say Never Again with the Swedish Bikini Team, let us know how wrong we were that this is not John Rhys-Davies' best movie. And I really am curious, like, what's your Indiana Jones ranking? Because I'm a Last Crusade followed by Raiders. That's my 1 and 2, but it's 1 and 1A, honestly, for me.
Sure, I get that. And I think you're most right by saying it's equitable to like the Star Wars.
It's
vibe.
Very Star Wars trilogy when you think about it.
And if you can't have too much indie, especially if you just cut out Crystal Skull. Just cut that one out in totality. I will say
the first 15 minutes until the fridge is great. It's like I always say about Lone Ranger. Like the Lone Ranger is a banger of a Western until he dies. And then it's just like falls apart. And it's the same with Crystal Skull where it's like, oh, you had it. And then you didn't.
Yeah. Is it true that he wouldn't have been able to get out of that fridge, right? Because that's how kids died, right?
That's how kids died.
Okay, great. Just wanted to get on the same page as that. It was cool, and then it stopped being realistic.
Yep.
That's what works about these films, though, too. And I don't love all the Christian iconography, but they're, like, not hitting us over the head with it. Because I just don't need, like, let's talk, Jesus was real, and da-da-da-da. But, like, we go on a journey similar to him. Like, do we actually believe this? Is this actually God? And it's not overt. Yeah. But what they do is they instill a healthy amount of skepticism and then give us a reason to believe. And I think that's pretty cool. Anyway.
Yeah, what was it? It's like what I'm looking up. Hold on. So like sorry, I was Googling that. You can edit that out if you want to.
I am not going to.
But like it's like the first movie is Judaism with the Ark of the Covenant, and then the second movie is Hinduism with Temple of Doom, and then this one is Christianity. And
I didn't realize that.
So
okay.
And then the fourth one's fucking aliens.
Well, because where else are you gonna go? Because
their treasure was knowledge. Oh my God.
Jesus Christ. Painful. But actually, I didn't realize they were all different religions. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. I just didn't need anything about Christianity. Maybe I'm just being triggered. All right, anybody. All right.
Anybody. All right, anybody. All right, that's the new goodbye right there.
All right, anybody.
Not everybody, just anybody.
Fuck. Are you sure we could go into the net? All right, anybody, this is painful.
No, it's the best thing I think this podcast has ever had happen to. It's so great.
Anybody who happens to be here.
Anybody.
Fuck. All right, everybody, sort of. All right, anybody, talk to you later.
Man, pass me again, anybody. Oh, so good, so good.